we're diving into a pretty stark warning from one analyst about the future of Dubai's real estate market. The big question for April 2026 is this: is one of the world's hottest property markets about to face a total collapse? Yeah, that's really the question at the heart of this entire analysis. Is the market actually doomed? Well, to get to the answer, we have to start with one single, pretty staggering number. 95%. Just let that sink in for a second. So, what does that 95% actually mean? Well, according to this report, it means that 95% of ongoing property contracts were just canceled, almost overnight, right after the recent war escalations in the region. That's not a slowdown. That's a near total freeze of the entire market. And you can see the immediate fallout right here. In mid-March of 2026, the real estate index was humming along at 6,750. But just 2 weeks later, it had plunged to 5,400. That's an incredible drop. It completely wiped out 18 months of gains, basically hitting the reset button all the way back to December 2024. So what on earth happened? Well, the analyst behind this is arguing that this isn't just another market correction. This is something different. It's fundamentally about war, not a typical economic slump. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, Dubai has bounced back from crises before, right? We all remember the 2008 crash, even the COVID pandemic. So why is this time supposedly so different? Well, here's the breakdown. In the past, the problems were economic. The solution? Dubai could basically throw money at the problem, using its massive oil and tourism revenues to kickstart things. And you know what? It worked. But this time, the analyst is calling it a security crisis. The issue isn't a lack of cash, it's a perceived lack of safety. And that's causing investors to literally pack up and leave. And that makes the outcome dangerously unknown. And let's be really clear about what a security crisis means here. It's when the fear for your own physical safety and the safety of your family becomes more important than any potential financial gain. People stop looking at spreadsheets and start looking for the nearest exit. And this is the event that reportedly sparked that fear. The source claims over 2,000 drones and missiles were fired at the city. Now, the official neutralization rate was an amazing 95%, but think about the math. That still means an estimated 100 projectiles might have gotten through. That's the terrifying reality that apparently fueled the mass exodus. This crisis of confidence, this fear, leads us straight to our next point, what some are calling the developer's desperate game. Because if you look closely, their actions seem to reveal just how little faith they have in the market's recovery. And how do we know they're desperate? They're making an offer that would have been unthinkable just a few months ago. A massive 25% discount, but only if you pay the full amount right now in cash. So what's really going on with this discount? According to the analyst, this isn't some golden opportunity for buyers. No, it's a huge red flag. It signals that developers are desperate for immediate cash, and it basically reveals their plan. Get as much liquid cash as possible so they can get out of the market fast. But here's the thing. The war wasn't the cause of the collapse. Not really. It was just the pin that pricked the bubble. The argument is that this market was already a bubble just waiting to burst. To understand why, you have to look at who was buying. A huge chunk of the investment, 40%, came from foreigners. But here's the kicker. Of all those foreign investors, only 5% actually bought a place to live in. The rest, they were pure speculators. They had no real ties to the city, so when trouble started, of course they were the first to run for the hills. And on top of all those flighty investors, there was another ticking time bomb, a massive oversupply of properties. This was a huge problem long before anyone was worried about regional conflicts. And just look at the sheer scale of this problem. In 2026 alone, 182,000 new properties are set to be handed over. By 2028, we're talking about over 500,000 new properties flooding the market. So you have to ask, with investors fleeing, who exactly is going to buy or rent all of this new space? So you take the security fears, you add the developer panic, you throw in the massive oversupply, and it all boils down to the final and maybe the most difficult crisis to solve, a total breakdown of confidence. The source material really sums it up with a powerful quote. It is difficult to remove fear from the heart of the rich. The problem isn't about numbers on a balance sheet anymore. It's psychological. It's about emotion. And that fear is so potent because wealthy investors have other options, lots of them. They can move their capital to places perceived as much safer, like Singapore, Switzerland, or New Zealand. Or they can just take their money and go home. Dubai is no longer the only game in town. And that leaves us with the billion-dollar question that this whole analysis builds up to. When the wealthy have so many other safe places to park their money, is there any reason for them to ever return to Dubai? That's the question now hanging over the city's entire future.